Hey guys, I am super stoked to have this conversation with the very dynamic Dr. Krista Folta. And if you pay attention to her Instagram, you see that she's like popping into all sorts of things. She's traveling, she's with her babes, she's helping other people have babies, she's starting soccer clubs. It seems like she is like a one-woman show, but not a one-woman show doing all the things. So when we see that, I beg the question of like, how do you do so much in what appears to be 24 hours. And we got to sit around and hear a little bit more about her story and how she's gotten to this point of like the woman takes on anything and everything. So I'm going to throw it back at you, Dr. Crystal. Thanks for joining us. And how do you do all the things you do? And how did you get that way?
Clearly, I've multiplied myself. So more than one me, and you can have that too. The dynamic price of $9.99.
Well, you
No,
did multiply yourself. You do have two kids, right?
I do, yeah, and they are beautiful, amazing representations of innate and just knowingness all together. So, yeah, I just don't take no. Like I don't hear the word no as like in my vocabulary. So if someone says I can't do something, I clearly then have to do it. Even if I don't want to, I think that that's sometimes the case. Um, but yeah, it's just knowing that why not? I think that I was always a why child, and I have two why children. They ask why all the time, and sometimes I have answers and sometimes I don't. And I'm like, oh, if you know, we'll Google that.
Mhm.
So I think I Google my way through a lot of things, perhaps. I mean, we started the soccer club this year and I've never done that before. Started a school this year, never done that before. So I just Google a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, and I know when we were talking, you have this very like effortlessness about how you're like, well, I just do them. And I think for most of us, our jaws are like still dropping because we're like, yeah, but how? And so when I was thinking about you and what I know that you help women with the process of birth, you're a chiropractor, and then you also are there post-birth with the babies. And then also just knowing these things, like you've started this like freedom soccer club and whatnot. And so the theme of conviction also came through, self-reliance and conviction. And I guess my question to you is, if you think back as you've looked at these 30 some years,
29, Lona, 29.
yeah, 29. Um, where did your conviction really grow in this innate knowingness that, you can lead people to their health, you can help them birth their babies? Where did you get that knowingness that you could trust that?
Yeah, I remember in high school I had gotten a splinter and I'm like, oh, don't worry, it'll just come out. Like my body will just reject it. And so I had this like knowing that everything will work out. And I think, I mean, even further back in childhood, um, yeah, I guess we'll go deep. I don't know. But I had been abused as a child, and I had told someone, because like that's what you're supposed to do, like that's what the movies show, and then you're rescued, right? Well, I told someone and then I wasn't rescued, and it was just me, and then me and my sister, um and I knew at that moment that nobody was coming to save me, that I was going to save myself. And whatever I was living in is not what I was going to live in as an adult, and my children weren't going to live that way. And even though I couldn't, like, that wasn't even in my brainscape of like, how can I do this? I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I have to do it. And it's a need. Like I need to do it for me. I need to do it to I think, as Leslie was saying, to break generational curses, like, and familiar patterns. Definitely needed that. I needed it just to grow and to be a stronger person. And at 6 years old is how old I was. I knew that then.
So it really
So
was innate to you that you found that inner knowing that you could take care of yourself.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then I think watching you, what I see is like this person who's obviously had many repetitions of figuring out that you could do more than you thought other people maybe would have done. And now
Yes.
you help other people see that in their births, in their bodies. I'm assuming also with how you parent your children. How do
Yeah.
you help other people see that?
I think it does come, well, definitely meeting people where they're at. That is what I mean. My practice is called Looking Glass Chiropractic, and Looking Glass, just like Alice, she looks at the glass, she goes through this journey to find who she is, and then she comes out on the other side and she finds that she was within herself the whole time. And so that's why I named the practice
Love
this.
that.
And yeah, it's really cool. And that's just what I get to do every day, whether it's in the practice, whether it's with our team, with soccer, with the school. You just meet people where they're at and take them on a journey that they're already on. You're going on the journey with them. You're just helping them as a guide. And that I think my strong conviction, my strong knowingness, and then just the tone of nobody's going to save you. And I mean, I do that with my children, and I'm like, well, what is, like, how are you going to figure it out? Um, and it might not be the most gentle parenting. I think that's a big thing right now with a lot of my friends. Even they do very gentle parenting, um, and I'm just like, well, okay, I'll see you later.
Mhm.
No, nobody's gonna save you later. So, but I mean, I think that's it's hardened me and made me soft at the same time. And um, I think cracking people's shells or building them stronger is what you got to see. Like, which way are you going to go with it? Because some people might need to be built up a bit more, and some people might need to be
Ruffled.
hammered out more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very true. And I think, I know you take care of a lot of families, so you see a lot of kids. And I remind myself this where, we're not trying to grow children. Children are connected. They probably understand intuition and awareness. And like you said, you were 6 years old when you felt this inner knowingness that you had to take care of yourself and help yourself up. So they are resourceful. They do have resources. Yes, they still need parents for various things. But we're not trying to keep them in these smaller childlike states forever. So that's something that I think we we have to also be aware of. Are we growing resourceful adults who are told messages like, you can do hard things, you are going to find the answers? What are your thoughts on kind of helping people find that conviction?
Yeah, I think in parenting, that's a tough one for sure, because you have, not you in general, but everyone has some kind of um, nature nurture patterns from when they were parented, and that can tend to stick with people. And um, like for myself, I saw what I didn't want, and that's what I'm doing now. And then I saw some good lessons in that too. And I'm like, also bring that in. And so we're always learning with every experience that we have. And just seeing that with my kids, I think is it's a cool thing, because they can easily reflect the good things and the bad things that you're doing. And so I know when I'm on the wrong path, when they're reflecting some very intenseness back at me. So
Yeah, so you use them as a mirror on some
yes,
level. Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Patients are like that though too. So patients will reflect back as well. And if you look in your life, most people will reflect back and be a mirror for you. So
Totally true. We're all connected. Carr, one of the interviews, Dr. Carr was saying so much of that, just looking at the interconnection between what we're experiencing internally, the world, as well as the rhythms, because she's into Ayurveda. I would agree with all of those things. It's all a divine, almost like puzzle. Um, okay. A few other things that I wanted to have you speak on, because I think about, all right, your effortlessness and when you say things like, I just do them. And for the average person, that might feel like chaos. How do you stay healthy yourself in the midst of lots of different startups, parenting, and you're a single parent? Like, how do you, I know I'm imagining you have great help built around you, but how do you stay healthy in the midst of trying to keep all these things spinning?
Yeah, I don't let the little things get to me. I always have 14 plates spinning, right? Um, and for me, on my level and the way that I'm designed beautifully, is that I can have that and not feel stress. Not everyone is built that way. And loving and acknowledging like who you are and where you are is a beautiful thing. And then testing those boundaries. Like, can I take one more thing
Mhm.
and all my plates won't drop?
Mhm.
Or can I take one thing off and I build up into a healthier version of me? Right. And so I've definitely tested that out a lot. So I love I love the chaos. So like my office it's open adjusting and there's kids running around and screaming and babies crying and healing all happening at the same time. So because kids are hungry and they need snacks and we have popcorn Tuesday right now. So um just a beautiful, beautiful thing. But just knowing where the calm is in the middle of that hurricane or that tornado, there's that calm center. And if you are that calm center, it doesn't matter how much chaos is around you, it's fine. Everything's fine. You just throw it out into the chaos. You don't
Mhm.
like throw it into the chaos.
And would you say that some of what you had to work through as a child allowed you to feel like what some people would describe as stressful really isn't stressful? Or how did you get that calm?
Yeah, it was chaos all the time.
Mhm.
So and I had to be calm because the calmer you are, the less abuse that you get. So um find that calmness. And then now as an adult, I'm working through the patterns, knowing that, okay, I'm being calm for me and not for everyone else, is a big thing. Although with children, you have to be calm for your children because if not, they're just going to be way less calm too. So
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing. But just knowing, yeah, knowing where your calm is, and my calm is spinning 14 plates and your calm might be spinning 7 plates, and it's not that you're doing any less than I'm doing, you're just doing different things and you have different plates. So and you could be at a different stage in your life, like
Picking your plates, right? Like, is it the plate I want to be spinning? Or is
yes,
it
yeah.
not one that matters anymore? Mhm.
And I evaluate that twice a year. So I evaluate that at New Year's, and then I'll do it in July as well. And then I guess a third, because I'll do it in October when I set my goals for the next year. So those are the 3 times I really look at like what's going well, what's not going well. And then having great people to mastermind with. Like I love our mastermind because we get to do that. And then having people locally if you mastermind there, because then they could be like, okay, this is working, and it's like more of a month to month basis as opposed to quarterly. So
Yes. Okay, one more question I'm going to throw out to you is, you started this Freedom Soccer group, I believe. I think that's what you called it, Freedom.
Freedom Soccer Club.
Yes, Freedom Soccer Club. And you did it based out of a need. You wanted your kids to be able to play soccer, but without masks, I believe. And with that type of stepping out in your community, you're out in I was an island or a peninsula off of Seattle. So that is pretty brave to start that. How would you encourage someone to step into their voice or step into their conviction if also they're going to get some feedback that maybe they're not used to?
Yeah. Washington's still a little crazy. So it's beautiful. Come visit. Just, don't stay. But yeah, I think that that was scary because being a business owner, it could definitely reflect back on my business, and it did. We were turned into the health department 11 times now, so there's that, for masks and silly things like that. But really, when I decided to start the soccer club, I was like, I really want my kids to play soccer. I'm like watching these kids play masks, and then some teams weren't and some teams were, and the girls had to wear them but the boys didn't, and I thought it's still like that, and it's still really weird. um And I just saw like the vaccines coming down the line as well, especially in children. And that's also happening now too. And I didn't want that to be a deciding factor in an athletic experience. And so, and I'm not like a crazy athlete. Like that's not my thing. And I played for a couple years, but I wasn't like career all my life soccer player. But I felt that I needed to do this for my kids. And I know that there are other kids out there. And so we hosted registration night, and it was 2 hours of nonstop people signing up. Like I was like in tears. There were people in tears. We couldn't believe how many people were there 30 minutes early because they were like, we need to get on this. And I did it in the first time because I didn't know what it was going to be out here and how many people really wanted to do it. I mean, we had people coming from 45 to an hour away. Like it was crazy, and it's beautiful. And I don't know, we did 2 seasons last year, and we ended with 22 teams and 189 players. And this next season, we're already gearing for next season in April, and I anticipate closer to 250 because spring is less rainy than the fall.
Oh, I love it. I just think you're amazing. And you're so humble about it, which is why, most people wouldn't even know, oh, by the way, she's running a practice and has kids and started a soccer club and a school. And so I'm going to kind of round this out with, what you just said there about like, I did it because I felt like I needed to do it. And, here you are, you help people with health all day long. How important do you think it is when you feel a conviction in your soul, in your heart, that you're meant for something, or that it's on your soul to do something, that is part of your health and well-being as well?
Yeah. So I always tell people when they're getting adjusted, because a lot of times we'll do gentle adjusting as well, especially in babies, it's stored potential energy, right? So this stored potential energy, it's brewing and it's brewing and it's brewing. And if it's in a stuck place in your body, that's a subluxation. It's an interference in that flow from God down to the world. And so when you have that, that's the same as when you get a calling or a message, you get that stored potential energy. And sometimes it could be butterflies in your gut, and sometimes it could give you heart palpitations and some sleepless nights, but you're ready or you're not, and you're going to store that, and it's going to eat you if you don't act on it. And you have to, sometimes you get all these different things. Like I could probably get 100 new projects a day if I allow them in, right?
I believe you could. Yes.
But it's like, what is calling my soul? And I have this, like, I got this calling to build a health center, right? And then this happened, COVID happened, and it took a detour, right? And so we're still going to build the health center, but we're going to do the soccer club and the school first, because that's the greater calling right now. And that has the bigger energy. And so do I want that energy stored in my body? No, because that's where you start to you lose weight, or you gain weight, or you don't sleep well, and you have headaches, and it's because you're not allowing your full innate expression to come out. And so you're given gifts for a reason, and don't be afraid of the callings. The callings that's what you're here for.
That, what you just said right there, that is like, that's everything. I really think we're not placed in physical form with the energy of a body, a mind, a spirit, to not do something with it. Right. And our system is intelligent enough to know that, but sometimes we use our free will choice to avert. So if you were going to help someone start to listen to those nudges, or become more in tune with the way their soul is speaking to them, or their own convictions, like, is there any things that you do that help you stay more in tune?
I breathe. I take a breath and I say, is this right for me? And you can do muscle testing if that's your thing, but breathing is a big one. And if I breathe and it still feels right, then it's a go, and getting quiet. I think that I know you're talking about listening this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that last year, it's really interesting when you're by yourself and you don't have your children, how quiet it is.
Mhm.
And I'm like, we live in a very loud world in general, and my practice is loud, and I just was not comfortable in the quiet. So getting quiet and being able to listen, I think breathing and listening, those are the two big ones to really start to tap into. Is this right for me? I know it's really scary. I can do this. I
Mhm.
just need
Mm.
and a team, get people to help you, because that's you
Yes.
can you can go further with more people. So
Yeah, you don't have to go at it alone. That's for
yeah.
sure.
And don't reinvent the wheel.
Right. Also true, right? Yes. Look for the other people who are plowing the way with you. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, so much gold there. I love that. I love what you also said. I don't know how you explained exactly where like it's stored potential or your connection. How'd you say it? God through you.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. I think again, in my mind, and Cara was talking about this on the podcast or on the session I recorded with her, was like um just how we're moving into hopefully this acknowledgement of so much more to us than this physical body in healthcare. And as we recognize that we are a channel for this energy, then we take care of ourselves wildly differently than if we thought we were just a pile of bones and meat, you know?
Yeah.
So beautiful. Thank you, Crystal. Where can people find you?
You can find me Instagram at Dr. Crystal Folta, or my practice at Looking Glass Chiropractic. You could find me on Facebook. Instagram's better. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing.
So
Awesome.